If you think you already know how the story of ice and fire ends, guess again, because the winds of winter are blowing.
Mercy, he said. My name is Raff. I know. She slipped her hand between his legs and felt how hard he was through the wool of his breeches. The laces, he urged her. Be a sweet girl and undo them. Instead, she slid her finger down along the inside of his thigh. He gave a grunt. Damn, be careful there, you... Mercy gave a gasp and stepped away, her face confused and frightened. You're bleeding. What? He looked down at himself. Gods be good. What have you done to me, you little cunt? The red stain spread across his thigh, soaking the heavy fabric. Nothing, Mercy squeaked. I never... Oh, there's so much blood. Stop it, you're scaring me. He shook his head, a dazed look on his face. When he pressed his hand to his thigh, blood squirted through his fingers. It was running down his leg, into his boot. He doesn't look so comely now, she thought. He just looks white and frightened. A towel, the guardsman gasped. Bring me a towel, a rag. Press down on it. Gods, I feel dizzy. His leg was drenched with blood from the thigh down. When he tried to put his weight on it, his knee buckled and he fell. Help me, he pleaded, as the crotch of his breeches reddened. Mother have mercy, girl, a healer. Run, find a healer, quick now. There's one on the next canal, but he won't come. You have to go to him. Can't you walk? You'll need to carry me. See, thought Mercy, you know your line, and so do I. Think so? Asked Arya sweetly. Raff the sweetling looked up sharply as the long, thin blade came sliding from her sleeve. She slipped it through his throat beneath the chin, twisted, and ripped it back out sideways with a single smooth slash. A fine red rain followed, and in his eyes the light went out. Valar Morghulis, Arya whispered, but Raff was dead and did not hear. She sniffed. I should have helped him down the steps before I killed him. Now we'll need to drag him all the way to the canal and roll him in. The eels would do the rest.
All right, so that was brutal. That made me cringe reading that. Yeah, it's so brutal. And like how is she gonna clean up all the blood? Like that's what I'm thinking about. Like she's gotta like get rid of all that blood and then get his body all the way down to the canal for the eels to feast on it.
Right, and she's up in a room, like up in the attic. So the whole stairwell is gonna be like just bump, 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 bump. Bump, bump, bump. I'm sure she's got a plan. She'll probably like toss him out a window or something. I don't know.
She's gotta, because if she drug him down the stairs, like people would walk out and be like, someone got murked in the hallway.
What if she cuts up his body into parts so she can carry it down in a sack?
Oh my god. Now see, that's gruesome and awesome, and that's like brutal. That's it, because then it would be easier for the eels to eat also, you know?
Well, and to make us some serious points about Arya's psychology from this quote, not only is she killing this guy brutally, but she's like trolling him and confusing him while she's doing it. It's a very specific tactic that she's doing where she's like, you're bleeding. What happened? Oh, what's happening? Can't you walk? Like it all contributes to his confusion and he starts going into shock and he just
it's very calculated. And then we see another example of this. Well, we saw another example of her acting in a similar way earlier, but we'll get to that. But it's very
And the other thing I wanted to mention was just that whole bit about, do you know your line? You'll have to carry me. Think so. That, of course, is a reference to Lamy Greenhands, who got stabbed through the leg. And he was like, you'll have to carry me. And this was Raff the Sweetling that was like, think so. And then he killed him. So that's why Raff's head jerked up. Like he recognized the quote and the moment. So that was Arya's little bit of like, remember me, before she kills him right there.
They actually took this scene, I think, from the Mercy chapter and put it in the show and mixed it with that hound scene, right? They actually took a lot from this chapter and put it in the show, actually. In that scene in the show, they bring up the whole thing where she's like, do I need to carry you? That's where that's that scene where they do it.
Oh, right. Yeah. That was a nice note when they did that, yeah. And I liked all that hound chicken, Arya and Hound eat all the fucking chicken. Like that was pretty good stuff. Yeah, I like that. All right, so to set things up here, that quote was kind of a setup, but basically Arya has been learning faceless men skills, not necessarily following all the rules, doing her own killings here and there. Doesn't seem like she could stay there forever. She is obviously still Arya Stark.
And like we just mentioned, she just engaged in her second extrajudicial killing, Raff, and the first one was, of course, Daron, which we'll get to later. Then also, Frey blood must flow. So Arya is gotta get back to Westeros because she's got to get revenge on the Freys potentially.
Yeah, and we expect the Wolf Pack to be making an appearance, unlike on the TV show. So yeah, that does seem where Arya's going, possibly giving Stoneheart the gift of mercy. I like that idea. So in any case, she's got to get back to Westeros. That's clear.
So one of our big questions is, what additional abilities and knowledge will she gain by the time she leaves Braavos, right? And so obviously the various poison skills that the faceless men know, and then combat skills. And then, just like the knowledge of the common people of the Riverlands and Braavos. And then the dead girl's memory. She absorbed this girl's entire life, basically.
She's amassing, and I made this point when I was talking about Daenerys, how Daenerys has lived the life of a slave and understands the plight of the common people. Arya has been a refugee since the end of Game of Thrones. She's been all over the Riverlands, like you said. She's been in Braavos doing these different roles, cat of the canals, selling oysters, cockles, and clams. And yeah, all that's giving her knowledge that will inform her skills and her ability to be an assassin.
And then she's unknowingly expanding her skin changer / warg abilities remotely with Nymeria across the Narrow Sea, that's like flexing a muscle, right? I feel like if she's controlling her across the Narrow Sea. Then also, of course, the cats. And it's all very intuitive with Arya as well, but still you got to imagine that it is like flexing a muscle, and the more she does it, the stronger she gets.
Yeah, and I talked about this on my King Bran series, but Arya is definitely the second most powerful warg after Bran. The fact that she can, do the remote viewing with the cat is impressive, because we're told that based on how similar the species is to humans, it's, more or less difficult. Like dogs are easy, birds are harder. So cats probably a little harder than wolves and dogs. And then, like you said, Nymeria from across the continent, that's really impressive. So her warg skills definitely going somewhere. It's being developed.
Another question that we had was, will Arya have the ability to wear faces on her own? Now, it seems like the faceless men teach different methods to, kind of alter your appearance. And one of them that the kindly man is talking to Arya about is, it seems to be kind of like, I don't know, muscle control. I mean, because theoretically, if you could control your muscles down to crazy, detailed level, then you could make your face look differently. And it's kind of it reminds me almost of the Bene Gesserit and Dune, how they have such intense control of their internal chemistry, and they can alter things about themselves on a cellular level.
That Bene Gesserit point is really good. I actually want to expand on that before we get to the quote, which is simply to say that that's what the lying game is about. They started training her on that as soon as she got there. All that stuff about controlling the face and being able to lie. So it's a very good comparison, because by the time she's done, she will be able to master her face in a way that normal people cannot.
And then there's also other ways.
Mummers change their faces with artifice, and sorcerers use glamours, weaving light and shadow and desire to make illusions that trick the eye. These arts you shall learn. Like you said, there's 3 different kinds of face control that they do. So the first one, change their face with artifice, mummery. That is acting essentially with props, and that's why she's been sent to Varys, and that's why she's been apprenticed with Isambaro as a mummer.
Ultimately, she'll have Varys' awesome mummery skill, Melisandre's awesome shadow binding glamour skill, and then on top of that, whatever other skill the faceless men have for changing the face.
Right, and that's what Jaqen did. Is when the kindly man talks about a glamour, that's when Jaqen passed his hand in front of his face and changed it. That essentially was a glamour. So yeah, Arya might do the glamour.
But there's the specific thing that the faceless men do, which is literally taking a face and wearing it. And we have a quote about that.
"Sit," the priest commanded. She sat. "Now close your eyes, child." She closed her eyes. "This will hurt," he warned her. "But pain is the price of power. Do not move." Still as a stone, she thought. She sat unmoving. The cut was quick, the blade sharp. By rights the metal should have been cold against her flesh, but it felt warm instead. She could feel the blood washing down her face, a rippling red curtain falling across her brow and cheeks and chin. And she understood why the priest had made her close her eyes. When it reached her lips, the taste was salt and copper. She licked at it and shivered. "Bring me the face," said the kindly man.
It almost sounds like they took her face off. Almost. It's like a little bit vague at first. It's really, really creepy. It's like they told her to close her eyes so that she didn't see what they were doing.
Yeah, and then the notorious, well, this might hurt a bit. You might feel a pinch. Sling!
Yeah.
Like, what? What just happened? And then, yeah, it does say, you know, the old face coming down over, you know, the new one coming down over the old butt. It's not clear. So it does make you wonder if they took Arya's face off. But regardless, if they didn't, then it's a case of like they need to wet the blood so that the mask has something to bond to. But yeah, is this magic or is this like Qyburn pseudoscience stuff?
Yeah, it's really interesting the way it's described. It's almost like a surgical process, which seems very different from the way that the face changing thing worked in the show. It was very much just like magic face immediately changes. But here, this is a whole process. This is a whole operation that's going on. Looks like.
Right. And so when we're asking the question, will Arya have the ability to change faces on her own? Like in the show, she literally has the satchel of masks that she could just put on. But no, so if it takes this every time, then she might not be able to, because she's got to close her eyes and lay down and then someone else is cutting her face. It's possible that she could learn to do that on her own, or it's possible that once you've done it once, it's easier in the future. So I would call that one like a 50-50, but just the glamour and the mummery might be enough to get by. So we'll see. With
the glamour and the mummery too, I wonder to what extent that she will master that by the time she leaves Braavos, because Melisandre talks about like studying her arts for years beyond count, and she's like one of the best at it apparently. So I wonder like what will be the extent of Arya's skills, and I guess that's yet to be seen.
That's true. She's a lot further ahead on the mummery stuff. We haven't seen her do any glamoring, but she's been practicing the lying game, and now she's at Isambard, so she is further along with that.
Arya's already a cold-blooded killer. We talked about in the opening her killing Raff, but she had already done an extrajudicial killing before, and it was Daron, the brother of the Night's Watch, that abandoned Samwell and abandoned the mission.
Total jerk.
Quote about that.
Big
yeah,
jerk.
he's not a cool guy, but this
yes.
The quote about it is absolutely chilling too.
He's what Stannis would call a prancing cockawhoop.
Yeah.
Anyways,
exactly.
Yeah, it says, soon I will be plying the purple, and after that the Sea Lord's palace, Daron went on. Cat's empty barrow clattered over the cobblestones, making its own sort of rattling music. Yesterday I ate herring with the horse, but within the year I'll be having emperor crab with courtesans. What happened to your brother? Cat asked. The fat one. Did he ever find a ship to Old Town? He said he was supposed to sail on the Lady Ushanora. We all were. Lord Snow's command. I told Sam, leave the old man, but the fat fool would not listen. The last light of the setting sun shone in his hair. Well, it's too late now. Just so, said Cat as they stepped into the gloom of a twisty little alley. And then the very next line, it just cuts off there, and she's then back at Brusco's, and it's like by the time Cat returned to Brusco's house, an evening fog was gathering. She put away her barrow, found Brusco in the counting room, and thumped her purse down on the table in front of him. She thumped down the boots, too. Brusco gave the purse a pat. Good, but what's this? Boots. Good boots are hard to find, said Brusco. So that's the only clue that we have that Arya has killed somebody here. So I love how George has written that.
Yeah. And then later, of course, she straight up admits it to the kindly man. She's like, straight up. Like somebody killed this dude. He's like, who? It was Arya Stark.
Yeah, it was. He's like, yeah, this time she did not hesitate. Daron is dead. The black singer who was sleeping at the Happy Port. He was really a deserter from the Night's Watch. Someone slit his throat and pushed him into a canal, but they kept his boots. Good boots are hard to find. And she's like, just so. She tried to keep her face still. Who could have done this thing, I wonder? Arya of House Stark. And then he's like, that girl? I thought she had left Braavos. Who are you? No one. Then he says, you lie. He turned to the waif. My throat is dry. Do me a kindness and bring a cup of wine for me and warm milk for our friend Arya, who has returned to us so unexpectedly. And that's when they, make her blind.
They blind her, which is interesting because I guess you could argue potentially because he does say that blindness is a part of their training anyway. So maybe it wasn't a punishment. Maybe they upgraded her. Maybe like you did exactly what we wanted, and here's you're ready for the next level. I don't know. You could almost interpret it like that. But
I think there's actually a quote where it says we were going to do that anyway, but we just did it earlier because.
But this scene is curious because it's like the proto form of that Raff scene, right? And that scene, she's like using like sexuality and other things to like lure him. But here she's kind of like using like the childlike innocence, ha ha ha, whatever, walk with me. But it's still that same like manipulative air that we haven't really seen from Arya really prior to this, really not in the same way. It's very just kind of carelessly disregarding life. Even though this dude is a douchebag, I don't like Darian, but it's almost like Arya is viewing herself as like a mini god of death because she's deciding who lives and dies. She's deciding who gets to live and die. So that's quite curious, and she's becoming more and more callous and disheartened. And I think that really started. It started with the stable boy. She was first shaken by that murder, and then she gets to Harrenhal. And by the time she's cutting that guard's throat, she's just like, Hot Pie is totally freaked out, but she's just like, oh, the rain will wash the blood clean. And you just see her grow more and more okay with just taking life. And it's interesting. Where is this leading? She's growing more and more dark.
And I think she's even darker in the books here because on the show, by the time she gets back to Westeros, I mean, Macy Williams is like 25 or something. So, I mean, It's like she really can't be any younger than like 18 in our heads at that point. But Arya is like 11 or 12 here in the books. I think 12 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically hasn't hit puberty yet. There's a comment about that in the chapter. So she's very young and she's just really cold and really calculating. Like the Daron thing was basically like her starkness leaping out. And she's like, oh, you're a Night's Watch deserter? I'll show you what we do with Night's Watch deserters. Like, I know what my dad told me about that. And then she just kills him and pushes him into the canal. I mean, holy crap, dude.
It's kind of a twisted sense of justice, right? It's just like, I don't know. This is leading. It's like you're creating a monster a little bit, but we'll see.
Well, I think the old gods were pleased with that one, at least.
Yeah.
So go ahead in your creepiest voice. Give us the Arya reporting back to the kindly man after her carrying out the official assassination that they sent her on, which was to kill that insurance binder guy who basically sells insurance to the sailors in case they don't make it home.
He was also a jerk, right?
He was a jerk and didn't pay up on his promises, and so somebody came to the Faceless Men and paid them to kill him.
The kindly man was waiting for her at the House of Black and White, seated on the edge of the temple pool. The ugly girl sat next to him and put a coin on the lip of the pool between them. It was gold with a dragon on one face and a king on the other. The golden dragon of Westeros, said the kindly man. And how did you come by this? We are no thieves. It wasn't stealing. I took one of his, but I left him one of ours. The kindly man understood. And with that coin and the others in his purse, he paid a certain man. Soon after that, the man's heart gave out. Is that the way of it? Very sad. The priest picked up the coin and tossed it into the pool. You have much and more to learn, but it may be you are not hopeless. That night, they gave her back the face of Arya Stark.
Yeah, I love that. Very sad. So sad. You can hear the world's smallest violin playing inside the House of Black and White there.
I mean, well, this insurance guy was a huge jerk, right? Because he would the people would die, and then their families would be left suffering. So it's curious because it's almost like it's like karma. It's like the Faceless Men are doling out karma in a lot of these instances. I'm sure there's some cases where it's not that, but in a lot of cases, it does seem like the people that are being killed kind of deserve it. At least here.
So that's an interesting difference between the book and the show. On the show, she is given the order to kill the playwright, the actress, who is very likable and very sweet and compassionate to Arya, and it puts Arya in that difficult position of being ordered to kill somebody that is a good person. That does not happen in the books, though. She's never been ordered to kill a good person. So far, she's only been ordered to kill this one person who absolutely deserved to die.
Well, the thing about that in the show is that it really didn't make any sense because you have the other younger actress hiring the Faceless Men to kill an older actress. Well, where did she get the money to hire Faceless Men to kill her rival?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Yeah. That was one of the many problems with the HBO Arya Braavos plot, which we shall not speak of.
We do not speak of it.
Yeah. So in any case, I also like that line of that night that gave her back the face of Arya Stark. We're constantly being reminded that she's still Arya. Like in the Mercy chapter, she calls herself Mercy, and the narrative says Mercy right up until she cuts his throat, and then it says Arya all of a sudden. So that's George playing with the identity and sending us a clear message about who she is at that moment, which I think is cool.
She's always maintained the Arya identity from the moment that she couldn't get rid of Needle. She never let it go. So our next really big question is how and when and on what terms will Arya escape the Faceless Men? All right. Judging by that Mercy chapter, it seems like Arya thinks that she might be done with the Mercy persona after the killing of Raff.
Yeah, that's right. At the very end of the murder, she thinks to herself, this would make trouble for the Sea Lord and the envoy with the chicken on his chest. She did not doubt. So she was saying, and then also says she would miss Dana and Snapper and the rest, even Isambaro and Bonobo. So she's thinking, yeah, like I'm going to miss them. This is over. She knows that she's done an extrajudicial killing and there will be some price to pay. She might even be thinking about running at this point. It's unclear. And that is obviously our first question is, will they allow her to leave? Will she run? Will they let her think she's running? There's a few options here.
Well, here's the thing. So let's get rid of the first one right off the bat. Will they simply allow her to leave? Absolutely not. They're not just going to allow her to leave, and I don't think that she could ever outrun them. They are an organization of magical assassins that have been operating for hundreds of years, for a really long time. Arya, even as awesome as she is, I don't think she could outrun them for long. They would eventually catch up to her. So they're not just going to simply allow her to leave. I think the more likely option, and I think you agree with this one, is that they'll compel her to carry out a mission in Westeros. Right? They'll give her a mission and they'll say, do this for us. And then maybe we'll let you go. And they could be lying about the letting her go part, but they'd say that to her and then she'd go to Westeros and attempt to do it.
Well, so that's what I was going to say is that they won't allow her to leave unless they think that they can manipulate her. Or it's literally like they let her think that she's running and escaping, but they're planning on doing something. Like they're not just like, they've obviously got some plans for her, and obviously Arya can't escape them. Like there's no running from the Faceless Men, really. So the point is they're everything is happening according to their plan so far, and in all likelihood will continue to do so.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like they let her go because they know she's already going to do what they want. It's almost like, I think, Euron letting Victarion just take the dragon horn and be like, just go do that in the East, because I already know you're going to do what I want. I'm not even concerned with that. He's like, I'm thinking on a way higher level than you are. Yeah,
that's actually a really good comparison. So there's a couple options here. So if they compel her to carry out a mission in Westeros, then it becomes a question of, well, that mission is most likely killing somebody. So who would that be? People have tossed out all kinds of ideas like, oh, maybe she'll be set against one of the Starks. That'll be difficult. Or she'll be set against Daenerys. But we think that we might have found a better answer to this, because you have to think about, like, the Faceless Men, they kill people for hire, but they also kill people who don't pay their debts. Paying their debts, isn't that a saying in A Song of Ice and Fire? Who's not paying their debts, Quinn?
Cersei Lannister, House Lannister, is in debt to the Iron Bank. They've only been paying off the interest. Now, you know what the Iron Bank does to people that don't pay them back?
Yeah, so this is a running plot thread in A Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons. There's a couple of different quotes about it. Cersei is putting them off. She's got Braavosi envoys in King's Landing asking for money, and she's like sort of just paying them interest. So she can only do that for so long. And Arya definitely would be down to kill Cersei.
Cersei's on the list anyway, right?
She is on the list. That's right.
But then there's also the possibility that they would send Arya back to Westeros and not give her a mission immediately. And she might not know who she's going to have to kill. They'll say, we'll contact you later. And then one day they just walk around the street. Someone just shows up, taps her on the back, and they're like, Vala Morghulis, here's the coin.
I was just going to say, don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into my people will contact your people, basically. Or my people will contact you.
We'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot, actually. And that would allow Jaqen to sort of surface again, and have him and Arya could have a weird moment, be like, oh, you've all grown up now.
Yeah.
Let's go kill somebody together.
Yeah, teaming up again.
We are going to do a whole episode on the goals of the Faceless Men. So we're only sort of just scratching the surface of what the Faceless Men might be about in relation to Arya. But one of the things we're going to talk about when we get to the Faceless Men question is, do they know about the others? And are they concerned about the others? The fact that they collect knowledge and magical artifacts means they probably do know about the others, and they very well might be concerned with that. Okay. So they might know about the others, and in a similar line of thinking, they might know about Arya's skin changing magic. So that could be one of the reasons why Jaqen recruited her, right?
Exactly, because like you said, it seems like the Faceless Men, they don't care what skill it is or what magic it is, as long as it's useful. It's like they're recruiting like different things, like Melisandre's shadow binding, Varys' Mommer's skills, like various other things. Like they've got the muscle control going on. So if it's useful to a magical assassin, then I mean it's useful to them, right?
No,
if
totally.
it's useful to them, then they're gonna utilize it. And Arya being such a powerful skin changer is something that I think they'd probably recognize as well.
Yeah, I think it's more likely than not. When we're talking about the Faceless Men, I think it's always best to err on the side of they probably know, they probably are doing something intentionally, as opposed to like they don't know about something or someone's pulling the wool over their eyes. They really are presented like the people that know everything,
Well, in Harrenhal, when Jaqen H'ghar kills one of the guys, a dog attacks, right? There's like a dog attack. So Arya could totally just skin change an animal and have an animal attack someone, and no one would be the wiser. She'd be the greatest assassin of all time, maybe. Be excellent. Because we don't know how Jaqen does it, but.
So I was just thinking about that as you brought that up. One thinks about Melisandre talking about how she carries potions and powders, some of which are like aphrodisiacs or stuff that makes people scared when she does her rituals to make people more intimidated. So probably that's something like that. Like Jaqen had a substance that made the dog rabid or dangerous.
Melisandre's just like spraying LSD into the air when she's doing the rituals.
She's basically like Ken Kesey, man. She's doing the acid test. The Melly pranksters. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. So now getting back to Arya's skin changing, one way that they might know about it is the fact that Arya growls in her sleep. And this is actually from when she's staying with Brusco, but it says, some nights the wolf dreams were so vivid that she could hear her brothers howling even as she woke. And once Brea had claimed that she was growling in her sleep as she thrashed beneath the covers. She thought it was some stupid lie until Talia said it too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if Brea heard it, then obviously the Faceless Men heard it too. There's no way they didn't notice. So yeah.
She's all
well, she's warning something.
Yeah, like, what's going on here? And then of course she uses the cat, the tomcat, the alley cat, to spy on the kindly man. And so when she's being asked, what 3 things did you learn today? She waits till the third one, so it's the last question, and she says, yes, I know, you're the one who's been hitting me. Her stick flashed out and cracked against his fingers, sending his own stick clattering to the floor. The priest Winston snatched his hand back, and how could a blind girl know that? And then in a monologue, I saw you. And then she says, I gave you 3, I don't need to give you 4. And then back to the inner monologue. Maybe on the morrow she would tell him about the cat that had followed her home last night from Pinto's, the cat that was hiding in the rafters looking down on them. Or maybe not. If he could have secrets, so could she. Mm-hmm. So she thinks that she's got this secret, and maybe she does, because the kindly man was clearly caught off guard here. But how long will it be before he figures it out, right?
He'll figure it out. He'll recognize that the cat's, well, they've figured it out by now. So yeah.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Because this is back in Feast. They've already given her eyes back at this point. But it's just really cool. It shows how resourceful and clever Arya is. She really is a certified badass, more than just being a karate master. Like, she's very clever. She knows how to manipulate people,
I mean, I think if they had kept in Arya's cool warg skills in the show, they wouldn't have had to go so overboard with her crazy fighting prowess that made no sense.
Yep. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, because you wouldn't really teach a 10-year-old to be like a sword expert, just well enough to manage is kind of what you'd teach that as far as sword fighting. Her skills will be with deception and sneaking about and wearing faces and things.
We've already
being ruthless, being very ruthless.
I mean, yeah, with everything that we've seen with Arya so far in the book, she's not like a crazy fighter. She's manipulating people and taking their guard down and then getting them, right? That's been the pattern. So yeah.
This is like, oh, let me put my hand in between your legs. Whoopsie! Oh, was that my finger knife? Oh, it looks like it was. Yeah. So good stuff. And she lured him all the way up there too before she did it. So, all right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Like we said, we will be having another episode just to talk about the Faceless Men and the Iron Bank and what their agenda is. But we've pretty much touched on that as far as it concerns Arya. So we think, in conclusion, that she will be leaving. She probably will be given a mission either when she leaves or some point later. And we're looking forward to seeing what kind of mayhem she might unleash, while also maintaining a sense of sadness for the destruction of the personality of a 12-year-old child. So that is Arya Stark in a nutshell.
Absolutely. Like, I've always thought that Arya was one of the darkest characters in A Song of Ice and Fire. And I don't imagine Arya is going to grow up and then just be like fine and like a well-balanced young lady. It's not happening for Arya.
No.
I struggle to see like a happy ending for Arya at all. But we will see. I mean, at the very least, she'll be very damaged.
So I think there is a small chance that the show ending is similar to the book ending in that she does take ship and sails away from Westeros. But if she do that, it'll be very much like a Frodo thing where she's so damaged that she literally can't associate with humans. And so she needs to go exploring like Nymeria, hence the foreshadowing of her wolf's name. Nymeria was, of course, a Rhoynish princess who led her whole people on a mass migration by boat, who came to a new continent. So I could see that happening, but it'd be very dark. It's like Arya's so broken that she can't, have sex with Gendry and run away and live happily ever after.
I mean, if that is the way it goes in the book, then it would be curious. And like, I don't know, 15 years, bring back Maisie Williams and and this is what Arya's been doing in the sea, sailing this entire time. That'd be cool.
Yeah, Arya went to like some Sothorios continent and went native, and she's all like Mowgli'd out. Yeah, who knows? I'm sure the fan fiction exists somewhere, but we've gone long enough on this one. So thanks very much for tuning in. We'll see you back again next time with another most anticipated plotline. Don't forget to subscribe to both of our channels and share the videos and all that kind of stuff.
Peace out, guys.
Over the next 23 days, starting right now, we'll be releasing videos alternating between both of our channels, covering all of the awesome stuff that's coming in A Song of Ice and Fire, book number 6, from Jon Snow's Resurrection to Euron Greyjoy's Apotheosis. So make sure you subscribe to both of our channels so you don't miss anything, and those links will be in the description, of course.